Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Glenn's Vinyl Records. Today I'd like to do a video about my favourite label, my favourite jazz label, ECM Records again. I did one 3 weeks ago and it got a lot of views and a lot of comments and a lot of likes. It was my top 10 ECM records in my opinion. And based on some of the comments, I thought I'd do a second part, because when I put together the list of the top 10, I actually put together a list of about 40 records, short list of 40 records to choose from. So I've got all those records here and I've tried to put them in order. So today's video is the greatest ECM records in my collection, in my opinion, part 2. And I'm going to start with number 40, which is the Art Ensemble of Chicago. I wanted to put one of their records in because they have many great records on the ECM label. And this one is Urban Bushman, and it's a double live record. And they're a very good live performing band. Show you some photos on the inside there. Some of the members actually appear in their traditional makeup when they're performing. And we have on here Lester Bowie on trumpet, Joseph Jarman on various saxophones, as well as bass clarinets, flutes, all sorts of instruments. Same with Roscoe Mitchell. Then we have Malachi Favors on bass, and he does some percussion as well. And Famadou Donmoy, who does most of the percussion works. So I've got this one, Urban Bushman by the Art Ensemble of Chicago, at number 40. At number 39 I have Art Lande and Rubisa Patrol, Desert Marauders. They did two, Art Lande and Rubisa Patrol. That was their self-titled one, the first one. And then they followed up with this one, Desert Marauders. And it's made up of Art Lande on piano, Mark Isham on trumpet and flugelhorn, Bill Douglas does bass as well as flute, and Kurt Wortman on drums. And this is a fantastic record. If you've never heard it, well worth checking out. So I've got that at number 39. Number 38 I have Eberhard Weber, Yellow Fields. This is a great record. Eberhard Weber, of course, on bass, Charlie Mariano doing soprano sax, and Rainer Bruninghaus keyboards. John Christensen is on the drums. And I've got a lot of great Eberhard Weber records, but this is one of my favourites for sure. So I've got that at number 38. Number 37, Enrico Rava, The Plot, and this is another great one. Enrico Rava on trumpet, John Abercrombie on electric and acoustic guitars, Pelly Danielson on bass, and John Christensen on drums. Number 37, Enrico Rava's The Plot. Then we go to number 36, and I have an album by Michael Nora called Vanessa. This was very hard to find, took me a while to track this one down, original German pressing, but I was glad to get it. It has Michael Nora on piano, Wolfgang Schulte on vibes and marimba as well as percussion, Eberhard Weber's on bass, Joe Ney on drums, and Klaus Thurman on bassoon. It's a fantastic record. Salvatore, the opening track on side 1, it's fantastic. The whole record is just great. If you haven't heard any of Michael Nora's stuff, this is the one to listen to for sure, Vanessa. And that's at number 36. 35 I have another Eberhard Weber record, and it's this one here, Fluid Rustle. And this is quite a special one because it's got Eberhard Weber on bass, of course, Bill Frisell is on guitar, Gary Burton is on vibes and marimba, and there's two vocalists, Bonnie Herman and Norma Winston. And no drums, lack of drums on this one, but the music is fantastic. Of course, Bill Frisell's guitar playing, and Gary Burton is great on the vibes. So that's, I've got some pictures there on the back, That's a great one to get from Eberhard Weber, Fluid Rustle. I have that at 35. At 34, Keith Jarrett, Facing You. And this is an early ECM record, number 17 by Keith Jarrett, solo piano. And probably one of my top 3 solo piano records from Keith Jarrett. This is a really good one, well worth getting. So I have that at 34. 33 is another one that features Keith Jarrett, but it's also Jarrett and Garbarek and Pally Danielson and John Christensen. Belonging. This is a really good one. And yeah, it's well worth getting if you haven't heard it. Belonging. So that came in at number 33. 32 is a Bill Frisell record, Inline. Another one that's getting hard to find on vinyl. And it's mainly solo guitar, electric and acoustic by Bill Frisell. But Harold Anderson plays bass on 5 of the tracks, and it's fantastic music. Very chill, very mellow, but great to listen to. Picture of Bill Frisell on the back there. So that's number 32, Bill Frisell, Inline. 31 is another early ECM record, Marion Brown, Afternoon of a Georgia Fawn. And yeah, it's number 4, 1004 as far as the releases go. And great lineup, Marion Brown, who plays alto sax as well as some percussion, Anthony Braxton, who does a lot of saxes as well as bass, clarinet, flute, Chick Corea on piano, bells, gong and percussion, Andrew Cyril, of course, on percussion, as well as Larry Curtis, and William Green also does percussion, as well as Jack Gregg, who also plays bass, and Gene Lee does vocals. And it's got a picture of Marion Brown on the back with Gene Lee. That's a great spiritual jazz record, an early one on the ECM label, Afternoon of a Georgia Fawn by Marion Brown. And I've got that at 31. Number 30, we go to a Charlie Hayden, Jarrett and Garbarek and Egberto Gismonti record, Magico. This one's just the trio, just the 3 of them, and fantastic music on here. I played this one a lot. And picture of the guys on the back, Magico. And I have that one at number 30. 29 is an album by another great trio. The band, they called themselves Codona. And this is the first one. They did Codona, Codona 2 and Codona 3. And the band is made up of Colin Walcott on sitar, tabla and dulcimer, hammered dulcimer, and voices as well. Don Cherry's on trumpets and flute, and Nana Vasconcelos does percussion work. And they got their name Codona from taking the first 2 letters of each of their first names. So Colin, Don and Nana. That's how they got the name Codona. This is my favourite of the 3 they did, the first self-titled one. You should really check this out, fantastic music. Number 28, Robin Kenyatta, Girl from Martinique. This is great. It's got Wolfgang Downer on clavinet and piano, Harold Anderson does bass, and Fred Braceful is on drums. And that's a great, almost jazz rock album. Fantastic album by Robin Kenyatta, Girl from Martinique. And I've got that one at 28. 27, Edward Vesala, Satu. And it's a big band on this one, 10 players in total. I'm not going to list them all, but 5 tracks and they're all amazing. The highlight probably is Terry Rypdal's guitar playing on this. He plays on 4 of the 5 tracks, and as with all Edward Vesala albums, they're all mainly big bands, 9 or 10 musicians on each one, and the music is fantastic, highly worth getting. Okay, number 26 is Dave Liebman, Drum Ode, and this one here I could have actually chosen Lookout Farm or this one, but I went with this one because it's basically his ode to drummers, which he actually states in the intro on side 1. Even though he's a soprano and tenor sax player as well as flute, he's got Richie Byrak on piano here, and Gene Perler does bass. John Abercrombie is on guitars, and then we have a total of 9 percussion players. So that's where the title comes from, Drum Ode. It's his ode to drumming, basically, and the music is fantastic. You should really get this one. So that one's at number 26. 25, I have Stanley Cowell Trio, Illusion Suite, one of the early ones on the ECM label, and Stanley Cowell is on piano, of course, the great Stanley Clarke on bass, and Jimmy Hops on drums. And there's some fantastic music here. I listen to this one a lot. Stanley Cowell Trio, Illusion Suite at 25. 24, another early one, Wolfgang Downer, Output, and not your typical ECM cover, quite way out, and it continues on the back. So this is really what you'd call jazz rock. You got Wolfgang Downer on piano, ring modulator, Hohner Electra clavinet, Fred Bracewell on percussion, and Eberhard Weber does bass and cello, and that's a great early one to listen to. Wolfgang Downer, Output. That's at 24. 23, I have a Gary Burton record, Dream So Real, and this is a quintet, basically, Gary Burton quintet, and he's on vibes with Mick Goodrick on guitar, Pat Metheny on guitar as well, Steve Swallow on bass, and Bob Moses on drums. So it's a great band. Some pictures of the guys on the back. Gary Burton, Dream So Real. And that's a 23. Number 22, I have Bobo Stenson, Underwear. And this is a trio with Bobo Stenson on piano, Harold Anderson on bass, and John Christensen on drums. Fantastic record. I love Bobo Stenson's piano playing. Could listen to it all day. It's got some fantastic tracks on it. The title track, Underwear, Luberon, Test, Untitled, Rudolph, and Tant W. All fantastic tracks. Bobo Stenson, Underwear. That's a 22. 21 is a very well-known one, of course. Keith Jarrett, Holland concert. Yeah, everybody basically knows about this one. For Keith on the inside there. And yeah, it's double record and not much more to say about it. It's fantastic. Keith Jarrett, the Holland concert at 21. Number 20, Jarrett and Garbarek, and basically Jarrett and Garbarek, Bobo Stenson quintet here, because they have Terry Rypdal on guitar, as well as Harold Anderson bass, John Christensen drums, and the album's called Sart, but it's a fantastic jazz rock album, very rocky for a jazz album, and great to listen to. The performances from all the players here are amazing. That's one I listen to a lot. Jarrett and Garbarek, Sart. That's a 20. 19, another well-known one, Old and New Dreams, what the band called themselves, and this is what they called the album as well, self-titled. But it's Don Cherry, trumpet and piano, Dewey Redman, tenor saxophone, Charlie Hayden on bass, and Ed Blackwell on the drums. Picture of the guys on the back, and some nice photos on the inside. And that's a great one, very well known, fantastic music on this, Old and New Dreams. And that's at 19. Number 18, had to put in a Ralph Towner record, so I've got this one, Solstice. It's my favourite from Ralph Towner. And here he's also with Jarrett and Garbarek and Eberhard Weber on bass, John Christensen again on drums, who appears on a lot of these records because I think he was basically the house drummer for ECM. at the time in the early 70s or right through the 70s. But this is a great record by Ralph Towner, who's on 12 string and classical guitars as well as piano, and Jarrett and Garbarek plays tenor and soprano, sax and flute. Fantastic record. Ralph Towner, Solstice. That's at number 18. Number 17, I had Pat Metheny, Bright Size Life. Just the trio, of course, Pat and Bob Moses and Jacko, who's there in the centre, Jacko Pastorius. One of Pat Metheny's iconic records, Bright Size Life. You should really get this if you haven't heard it. We've got that at number 17. 16, again, Jarrett and Garbarek and Bobo Stenson Quartet, and has Pelle Danielson and John Christensen again. But this one, Wichitato, is really, really good. From start to finish, you can't fault this record, it's almost perfect. And side 2 closes with a 20-minute version of Desireless, which is a Don Cherry composition, and that's amazing. So that's, yeah, high on my list, Wichitato. That was at number 16. Number 15 is a duo, Chick Corea and Gary Burton, Crystal Silence. We have Chick Corea on piano and Gary Burton on vibes, just the two of them. But the music is outstanding. If you haven't heard this, this is really one that you got to listen to. Crystal Silence, Chick Corea and Gary Burton. Number 14, had to have another Terry Rypdal album in there, and I chose this one, What Comes After. Fantastic music on this one. Rypdal plays guitars as well as flute. Barry Phillips on double bass, piccolo bass. John Christensen again. Yeah, fantastic record. Bend It, Yearning, Icing, What Comes After. Just fantastic tracks. Highly recommended. Terry Rypdal, What Comes After. Number 13, Dave Holland Quartet, Conference of the Birds. I had another Dave Holland Quartet album in my top 10 and didn't have room for this one in there, but yeah, I've got it here at number 13 because it's fantastic. Dave Holland on bass, Sam Rivers doing reeds and flute. Same with Anthony Braxton, does reeds and flute, and Barry Altschul is on percussion, and that's a great one from start to finish. Conference of the Birds by Dave Holland. I had that at 13. Number 12 is a Kenny Wheeler record, New High. This is a reissue that was done recently on the Luminescent series, so it comes as a gatefold. And yeah, Kenny Wheeler, New High, with Keith Jarrett on piano, Dave Holland on bass, and Jack DeJohnette on drums. Only the 3 tracks on the record, but absolutely fantastic. Recorded in 1975. Kenny Wheeler, New High. That's at 12. Number 11, just outside of my top 10, but this is an album I listen to a lot. Julian Priester, Love Love, and 10 instrumentalists here, 10 musicians. I'm not going to list them all, but the highlight is Bill Connors on guitar. He does fantastic work on the title track, Love Love, which basically takes up all of side 1 for about 20 minutes. And yeah, that's a great record from start to finish. Julian Priester, Love Love. So they were the 30 records that did not make the top 10 of my top 10 list, and I'll just show you again quickly what did make my top 10, just as a recap. At 10 I had Enrico Rava, Pilgrim and the Stars. Number 9 I had Mark Johnson's Base Desires. Number 8 was Keith Jarrett's The Survivor Suite. Number 7 was Bengt Berger, Bitter Funeral Beer. At number 6 I had Chick Corea's Return to Forever. Number 5 was Jack DeJohnette's Directions, Untitled. Number 4, Dave Holland Quartet, Extensions. Number 3 was Terry Rypdal, Jack DeJohnette and Miroslav Vithouse, to be continued. And the top 2, number 2 Benny Maupin's Jewel in the Lotus, and at number 1 I had John Abercrombie's Timeless with Jan Hammer and Jack DeJohnette. So that's basically my top 40 ECM records in my opinion. And I'd like to thank everybody that subscribed to my channel over the last 2 to 3 weeks. I've had a lot of new subscribers join and I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And please like the video and comment. I always like to see the comments on what you think are your best ECM records. That's why I decided to show the other 30 that I had in my short list of 40 altogether. So that's it for today's video, and I'd like to see you on the next one. Bye for now.